You ever watch someone suddenly realize the world is way bigger than they thought? I mean that exact moment when an American discovers, for the very first time, that English is actually not the default setting of the universe. Oh, today, we're diving right into that moment. And trust me, once you hear some of these reactions, you're going to scream, laugh, and maybe question humanity a little. Because the wild part? Some Americans think a foreign language is just English, spoken louder. Before we continue, please subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. The discovery moment. There's something magical, and honestly a tiny bit adorable, about that split second when an American learns that people outside the US don't automatically speak English. Like the tourist in Paris who confidently asks, "Excuse me, where is the Eiffel Tower?" And the Parisian replies, "Just look up." But the tourist responds, "No, in English," as if the tower itself needs subtitles. This moment, this gasp, this shock, this mental reboot is what we're exploring today. Because when Americans discover other languages exist, the reactions are priceless. The myth of universal English. Let's start with a core misunderstanding. Some Americans genuinely grow up believing English is the main language of the planet. Not because they're bad people, not because they're rude, but because many never leave the US, a country the size of a continent. You can drive for 40 hours and still be in the same country, ordering the same cheeseburger and speaking the same language. So when they meet someone whose first language isn't English, it feels like discovering a new Pokemon type. You speak Portuguese? Is that like Spanish but spicy? People in other countries learn 2 or 3 languages from childhood. Meanwhile, some Americans are like, "I took French for 2 years. Je m'appelle, I forgot, the travel wake-up call." One of the funniest, most eye-opening moments happens when an American travels abroad for the first time. Picture this. A young American steps off a plane in Tokyo. They breathe in the fresh air, stretch their arms and say the words, "Wow, everything is in Japanese." You can almost hear their worldview expanding like a software update. Then reality hits. The signs? Japanese. The menus? Japanese. The instructions? Japanese. And the Google Translate app? Battery 3%. That's when panic turns into cultural humility. They realize, wait, I'm the one who doesn't speak the local language? And suddenly the world becomes a lot bigger and a lot more interesting. The internet does not translate itself. But you don't even have to travel for this discovery. The internet alone can do the job. Americans playing an online game suddenly hear teammates speaking Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, Arabic, everything all at once. And the reaction is usually, wait, I thought everyone online spoke English? No, my friend, you're playing with the entire planet. One gamer once said, "Why don't they speak English so we can communicate?" Someone replied, "You're on a Brazilian server." He said, "But I'm American." Others replied, "Exactly. You are the foreigner." That moment hits different. It's like the universe holding up a mirror. Language features that blow American minds. Now let's talk about the part that really twists brains. Learning that other languages do things English does not. For example, 1. Languages with no future tense. In Chinese, you don't change the verb to talk about the future, you just add a word. Americans be like, "You're telling me you don't have to say will? How?" 2. Click languages. When some Americans hear Xhosa or Zulu for the first time, their soul leaves their body. How do you do that with your mouth? 3. Gendered nouns. Americans learning Spanish, so the table is female, why? What did she do? 4. Tone languages. Mandarin learners discover that one sound with 4 tones means 4 totally different things. Ma can mean mother, horse, scold, or hemp. One wrong tone and suddenly you're yelling horse at someone's mom. 5. Cases in German. When Americans learn there are 4 different ways to say they reconsider all their life choices the first time they hear multilingual people. Now, nothing humbles an American faster than meeting someone who casually speaks 5 languages before breakfast. Imagine a conversation like, "Oh yeah, I speak English, French, Arabic, a little Italian, and I'm learning Japanese." Meanwhile, the American is like, "I know the Taco Bell menu." There's this moment of wonder, almost like meeting a superhero. How do you remember all those words? And the multilingual person shrugs, "I grew up around them." That's the twist. Most of the world is multilingual. The US, meanwhile, is uniquely monolingual, the school language surprise. And let's not forget school. Many American kids take language classes because it's required, not because they expect to use them. Ask them 10 years later, what did you learn? Hola? But in many other countries, kids start learning English in kindergarten. Some learn English, French, and local dialects. So when Americans meet someone who learned English as a second or third language and speaks it better than some native speakers, it's like witnessing black magic. Wait, English isn't your first language? No, but you speak it perfectly. Yes. How? Homework. The accent epiphany. Another hilarious moment is when Americans discover that they have accents. They grow up thinking they speak neutral English. Then they meet someone from the UK, Australia, or India who says, "Oh wow, I love your American accent." And the American freezes like a computer crashing. What? Then they hear a recording of themselves. Oh no, that's what I sound like? Why do I sound like a cartoon character who eats Doritos? Everyone thinks their own accent is normal, until they realize it's just another flavor in the global language buffet. The multilingual immigrant superpower. In the US, immigrants often speak multiple languages, sometimes switching between them mid-sentence. And Americans witnessing this for the first time are stunned. You just changed languages. Like, mid-word. Yes? How? With my mouth, the admiration is real. Because it's impressive, and it reminds Americans that language learning is a skill, not magic. The English isn't universal revelation. At some point, almost every American has that one big humbling moment. Maybe it's while traveling, maybe it's online, maybe it's meeting someone multilingual. But it hits the same way every time. They realize the world is not arranged around them. English is not universal, and billions of people exist in languages they've never even heard of. The shock slowly becomes curiosity, curiosity becomes appreciation, and appreciation becomes respect. This moment is beautiful because it opens the door to understanding different cultures, not from judgment, but from genuine wonder, the humorous reality. Of course, we still get the classic reactions. Why do other languages put words in the wrong order? They don't. English does. Why do they speak so fast? They don't. You listen slow. Why are there so many languages? Because people didn't wait for America to be invented. It's harmless curiosity mixed with childhood assumptions, and correcting it leads to actual cultural respect. The global language count shock. Most Americans also don't realize how many languages the world actually has. When they hear the real number, around 7,000 languages, their face goes through the 5 stages of grief. First, denial. No way that many exist. Second, bargaining. Okay, but most of those are basically the same, right? Third, anger. Why? Then, acceptance. Wow, the world is huge. And then, wonder. What else don't I know? That's the moment the world gets bigger. Not geographically, but mentally. The respectful turning point. Because here's the truth. When Americans discover other languages exist, they also discover something else. People who speak different languages also think differently, express emotions differently, joke differently, and see the world from unique angles. Language isn't just words. It's culture, it's history, it's identity, it's worldview. And suddenly, Americans become curious. They want to learn, they want to travel, they want to connect. That's the moment where confusion turns into appreciation. And that's the kind of discovery that makes the world feel smaller in the best way possible. Closing message, looping back to the hook. So yes, the moment an American realizes other languages exist can be funny, chaotic, and deeply humbling. But it's also one of the most important life-expanding moments someone can experience. Because once that door opens, it never closes again. The world suddenly becomes colorful, limitless, and beautifully diverse. And the best part, anyone can start learning anytime. Even if all you remember from school is hola. Thanks for watching, and remember, the world doesn't speak one language, it speaks thousands. And every single one tells a different story. See you in the next video.